So let me address the elephant in the room. You're wondering, how do you apply this theory? You learn all these scales, these triads, arpeggios. Now the $1 million question is, how do I apply this into a musical situation? The thing is, you don't run it up and down like this. That's for practice. You need to practice it that way, all the boring stuff, and it turns into fun stuff after a while. But you practice all this stuff so that way you could train your fingers, your muscle memory, your brain to know where stuff are at on the neck. It's to gain reach, it's to gain facility. So then later you could basically use these patterns to create something out of it, right? So when you go up the scale like this, now you got to figure out a way to create some music out of that. So the way I do it, one of the ways, is to create patterns within that. So I could take D sharp minor pentatonic and I could go and create that kind of pattern. And I could later analyze that. Okay, it's going root to the fifth, and then go to the second to the minor third. You know, I could do all that analyzing after the fact. But what I do with that, pattern that I just created is I figure out a way to fit it in music. I may not use the entire pattern, right? I might just use this and stop there. I might just do that, and so you just figure out ways to be creative with it. You don't, run these things up and down, because then you lose people. You got to figure out ways to make it really interesting and creative, and that relies on you. So again, the takeaway is, do not use what you practice in music verbatim. Don't be running up and down scales on the gig while you're playing, music. You'll probably lose that gig. So the key is to know where you're at, gain facility, and be able to, know your notes on the instrument. You know what I mean? So that way you could create. That's the tools. That's the foundation to be able to create.